Hello, here we are again to tell you more about Saul and David. Welcome to our garden and enjoy the story.
Hello, Morning families. Even though it's good to have lots of friends, sometimes there is someone who is extra special to us. We might say he or she is our best friend. Having a special friend can be great, but in today's story, as we hear more about David, we find out that being best friends can sometimes land you in trouble. Let's open the book and read Best Friends.
David was Jonathan's best friend. Jonathan was David's best friend. David and Jonathan were best friends. But they weren't ordinary friends. Jonathan was a prince in the royal household, the son of King Saul, and David was just a shepherd boy. So how did David and Jonathan become friends? Met for the very first time on the day that David killed the giant Goliath. Jonathan was so impressed with David that he gave him his royal robe, his tunic, and even his sword, his bow and his belt, and they were friends straight away. David became a famous soldier. He moved into the royal palace, and he even married the king's daughter. But King Saul was jealous of David. He knew that everybody loved David more than they loved him, and that made him really angry. One day, while David was playing the harp to calm Saul, Saul threw his sword at him, and David had to run for his life. Saul sent soldiers to find David. He even looked for himself.
Go find him.
But no one could find him. A few weeks later, when Saul had calmed down, he sent David an invitation to join him at the palace for the festival of the new moon. But David didn't trust Saul. After the incident with the sword, he was afraid that it might be a trick. So he arranged to meet Jonathan in secret.
Jonathan, my friend, why is your father trying to kill me? I don't understand. What have I done wrong?
Kill you? Never. I'm sure you're wrong. My father tells me everything, and I'm sure he would have said something.
Are you sure? He knows we're best friends, but he's not likely to tell you, is he? Tomorrow I'm supposed to have dinner with him at the palace, but I need to make sure that it's safe for me to go.
What can I do to help? I'll do anything you ask.
I know. Tomorrow I'll stay away from the festival. If Saul asks after me, tell him you've given me permission to go to Bethlehem to celebrate the festival with my family. If he's angry, we'll know he wants to harm me. But if he doesn't mind, then I'll know it's safe to come back.
But how will you know if he's angry or not? How can I get a message to you without my father finding out?
They put their heads together and came up with a clever plan. The next evening, when the royal court was seated for the first day of the festival, David's place was empty. Saul looked, but he didn't say anything. When the same thing happened the second day of the festival, Saul asked his son,
"Where is David? Why hasn't he come to the festival as I asked?"
Father, I gave David permission to spend the festival with his family in Bethlehem. That's why he hasn't come to the king's table.
"You foolish boy! Don't you realise that as long as David lives, neither you nor your descendants will ever become kings of Israel? Go and fetch him. He must die."
Jonathan was horrified. David was right not to trust Saul. Jonathan couldn't believe it. Seeing Jonathan hesitate, Saul became so angry that he threw his sword at his son.
"Go and get him now!"
Then Jonathan knew that his father really did want to kill his friend. As soon as the sun rose the next day, Jonathan set off to warn David. David was waiting for him in a nearby field, hidden behind some bushes, so that no one could see him. Jonathan had brought his archery set, with a large bow and plenty of arrows, and a small servant boy to fetch and carry.
I'm going to practice shooting some arrows. And I want you to run after them and fetch them for me.
And this is where the clever plan came into action. Jonathan shot an arrow high into the air. The boy ran after it, and just after he reached it, Jonathan called out,
Hurry! Don't stop! Go! Don't stop! Quick!
and David, hiding in the grass and bushes, heard him. That was the signal, the sign to David that his life was in danger and that he must run away. So David ran, and he ran. From that day onwards he became an outlaw, running for his life, away from the angry king. King Saul made it very difficult for Jonathan and David to be friends. Jonathan had to choose between his father's anger and his friend's life, and he chose to save his friend. That's the end of our story.
What a difficult situation for Jonathan to be in, between his father's jealousy and his best friend. How brave of him to try and do the right thing and save his friend's life. Every day we have to make choices about doing the right thing. It's quite difficult. Now we can be with friends and family in small groups, but we can't go close to them. We have to make the right choice for social distancing and help each other not to spread germs. And now, let's say a prayer. Dear God, please help us to look after our friends and family and make the right choices every day. Amen.
So let's finish with the Lord's Prayer as we usually do. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. So we'll be back again next week, continuing the story of Saul and David. So you'll see us again then. Until then, have a good week. Goodbye.